We are reconvened in open session. We will now consider action on closed session items. Mrs. James.
I move to appoint Harvey Masculino to the position of high school assistant principal and to approve her as a Texas Teacher Evaluation and Support System appraiser for the 2017-18 school year, pending her completion of the appraiser qualifications according to the Commissioner's rules concerning educator appraisal provided in the Texas Administrative Code.
We have a motion by Mrs. James and a second by Mr. George. Do we have discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. Mr. Burdine.
Yes, Madam President. I move that the Board of Trustees accept the hearing officer's recommendation concerning the Level 3 employee grievance appeal of Doris Bacon.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Burdine and a second by Mr. George. Do we have discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. Board members' reports. First up, our activity report. Ms. Helliger.
Thank you. Our board meeting date is October 23rd, and this is our following report of activities from the past month. Trip Fest 2017, Gulf Coast Area Association of School Boards Meeting and Training, Child Advocacy of Fort Bend Voices Breakfast, Texas House Appreciations Committee Harvey hearing, TASB Convention, Greater Houston Partnership, State of the Senator with Senator Krug, Literacy, Reception and Dedication Ceremony for Lucia Street, Fort Bend Chamber Breakfast, and Fort Bend County Band Program updates. For Commissioner Patterson, Fort Bend Chamber Education Division presentation on tax swap and drop, Sugar Shindig, Neal Elementary Dedication Ceremony, Patterson Elementary Dedication Ceremony, Leonetti Elementary Dedication Ceremony, Student Leadership 101 Breakfast, Fort Bend ISD Board Leadership Academy Opening Session, Baines Middle School, National Junior Honor Society Ceremony, Sullivan Elementary Schools, National Junior Honor Society Induction Ceremony, Draybeck Elementary Schools National Junior Honor Society Induction Ceremony, Kaleidoscope Award Ceremony, High School Open Houses, multiple, Policy Committee and Vision Planning Committee meetings, Gulf Coast Area School Board Meeting and Legislative Update Training, SHAT meetings, Leadership TASB training, Fort Bend ISD College Night, Go Public Steering Committee meeting, campus visit to Madden Elementary School, campus visit to Hightower High School for Bosses Day, Madden Career Day Parade, and Fort Bend ISD is number 1 in the USA. I just wanted to read that because someone wrote that. I'm going to read it.
All right.
I wonder who.
Thank you, Ms. Helliger. Do we have any special reports this evening? Okay, hearing none, we will jump right into our consent agenda. May I have a motion, please?
Yes, Madam President. I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Burdine and a second by Mrs. James. Do we have discussion?
Yes.
Mrs. James.
I have some discussion on the waivers. So I was, thank you for the people who gathered all this information this afternoon, because I was trying to look at kind of what the breakdown was. When I looked at the sheet you sent out on Thursday to us, I realized there are a lot of kindergarten classes that were over, and so that's why I asked for the waiver for the breakdown. In this list, it looks like you've got 32 out of 126, which is pretty high, and kindergarten is pretty critical. And I guess I'm not necessarily against this proposal going forward, but I am concerned that we need to support these teachers with these young kids, because we really need them to be able to learn what we need them to learn in the short time that we have them. And especially in those early grades, all that classroom management is pretty significant. So my follow-up question to that is, what resources are we putting in place to help support these teachers in these schools where we have overcrowding?
Ms. James, so I can answer that question. Currently, what we're doing is the assistant superintendents there, they are constantly communicating with the campus principals. We are monitoring numbers. We are obviously monitoring the needs of the campus as well. The principals have been extremely forward whenever they need the support. But we also have some campus principals that are choosing to forego getting an additional teacher because there may be a bilingual certification need, which we're currently trying to address at this point in time. But DSL is in constant communication. The principals that have asked for paraprofessional support, we have obviously reviewed the numbers and we've provided that support as well. But it's just not an ask. We have the assistant soups, and of course myself, we're studying numbers every day. So it's a constant monitoring. There's not a day that goes by that we're not looking at numbers.
Okay, well, thank you. That's reassuring. One of the things I hear from teachers sometimes is that they, especially when they have, lots of kids, is that they sometimes, if they have kids that have identified special needs for one reason or another, maybe need modifications or accommodations to their work. If they have large class sizes, it's hard for them to keep up with that. So when I look at these elementary numbers, and I think this is when we're sort of identifying these things often, I guess in your checklist of things to check, to keep that in mind so that we are sure that we're helping our kids to be successful, but helping and supporting our teachers who, are right there on the front lines. And sometimes teachers are the last to ask for help. They think that they're letting you down if they can't rise to the occasion. And I just don't want to stretch anybody too far or put people in a difficult position. So thank you for your mindfulness of that, and thanks for your hard work in supporting our you and your team's hard work, I should say, in supporting our campuses.
Yes, and numbers is one thing, Mrs. James, but obviously, the quality of instruction in the classroom is the most important aspect of schools for us. So, there are times also where principals, they ask and they share their concerns. There's not a single principal that doesn't share their concerns with either a cohort of students or specific students. And we're always there to provide the support, but we continually monitor that every day.
Thank you, and I appreciate there's sometimes more to the story than just the numbers. So I think you recognize that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. James. Do we have additional discussion? Mr. Rosenthal.
Yes, on 11H1 on the energy plan. I think this is good. I know there was some discussion, and I'm actually looking for it. I read it last week about creating some kind of committee. Oscar, right?
Yes, sir.
I think we kind of had a little discussion on this offline. I'd like to make sure that, I would like to recommend that a board member be part of that committee as well for consideration. I think that there's a lot of money that can be saved, and this ties into the presentation we had for cost saving ideas. I think there's a ton of money that we can save. You and I have talked about this. I ran across that company, I don't even remember their name, at Tasby, that for no cost to us, they will put in a bunch of solar on any of our schools or all of our schools, and they pretty much guarantee that you will save about 20% of your costs. And again, not to power the whole school, just to power part of it. And to me, that's a no-brainer because there's no capital investment to us. So
Yes, sir. We've already reached out to them.
good. Okay.
But also, just for clarification, on strategy 4, on the committee. Board member is included in
Okay,
there.
good, because I didn't see that last week, so, okay. All right, great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenthal. Do we have additional discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. We have no action items. No action items this evening. So now we're going to review future board meeting agenda items. Dr. Dupree.
Yes, ma'am. On November 6th, we're going to be meeting at Barrington Place Elementary for the board's first literacy tour. And we'll also conduct the board workshop and agenda review that evening. We'll get an update on the profile of a graduate to close the loop on that cliffhanger you were delivered tonight in Troy Burns' report. On the 13th, then, of course, we'll also be doing an update on strategic planning, facilities master planning, capital planning, and 2018 bond program development. Major agenda items in November include the district improvement plan and campus improvement plan performance objectives, and then just a number of various contracts related to elementary 51. And then no policies in November. That'll be in December. Other than that, we're looking forward down to December, and I'm not going to read all that stuff to you. But any questions or other input about anything coming up?
Thank you, Dr. Dupree. Questions?
I
All
would
right.
remind the board that we are doing the board team building workshop 1 week from tonight on the 30th
All right.
in costume.
In costume?
Oh, gracious. Okay, in costume. And this includes executive team. All right, Ms. Helliger, you're up.
Speaking of that, I want to thank Mr. Steve Bassett for
Participating
answering the
in the
call
sock.
of the socks for the front row. We just need to get now Mr. Rodriguez to join us.
We did notice it. We are making notes about it up here. All right, make a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
We are adjourned.
I got called out last meeting. I had to do something.
About what?